During Ark's Extra Life 24-hour live stream, we got a whole bunch of exciting reveals. In this video, we'll be focused entirely on new maps and new content that is coming. We'll be discussing Ragnarok, Extinction, Valguero, and a new story map that is coming as well. First off, let's start with the simpler ones. Valguero has officially been confirmed to be returning, and the same creator has worked on many of the community's favorite maps. We'll be partnering with Wildcard to remaster this map. Whether you love the map or hate the map, I feel I always see that deinonychus gets loads of love, so I'm definitely excited to see them making a return. Next up is the new story map. We have 0 images to share for this. All we know for sure is that we are getting another update regarding this specific map sometime before the year is up. We do know though that it will take place after the events of Genesis Part 2, so it will be extending or adding on to the existing story that we already know in Ark, and possibly form a better bridge between the Ark that we know and Ark 2. As they mentioned, their vision for ASA was to build a better game that more closely can link Ark 2, whereas ASA felt too far disconnected or removed. They said a lot of the story itself will be in the actual gameplay and less hidden in Explorer notes like previous maps. They want the map to provide more story context than they have ever done before, so we're definitely excited to see and hear more about this. Who knows, maybe we'll even get to see Vin Diesel. That would be pretty cool. That is completely speculation though, don't hold me to that. Now, moving on over to Ragnarok, we did officially get confirmation that it will be getting released, but with a delay based on what their initial release date was. They said this year it either had to be Ragnarok or Extinction. They were unable to do both. Yes, Wildcard themselves will be performing the entire remaster of Ragnarok and will not be having a third party do the remaster. It has been confirmed that it is expected to release in March of 2025. But we got even more info when the stream hit $100,000 in donations. Since the Gigantoraptor was released early, Ragnarok no longer had a creature. Well, they've added another creature to Ragnarok. We're actually getting a very big community favorite from the creature votes. We'll be getting the Giant Bison with the release of Ragnarok. This will not be an adventure pack like Bob's Tall Tales, nor will it be a fantastic tame. The Giant Bison will come with the base game, so you will not need to pay for it. We didn't get too many details on it other than this character model, but this is definitely exciting as the Giant Bison was featured in many different creature votes, and I'm just glad we're getting another creature for the map. Now, moving on over to Extinction, we have the absolute most amount of information, and wow, there is a whole lot. But right before we jump into all those details, you should know there is one change that will actually greatly impact all maps. There's an entirely new structure being added to the base game of Ark that will actually be available on every map with the release of Extinction. We'll be getting a third version of a gate. Currently we have the Dinosaur Gate and the Behemoth Gate. Well, now they're introducing a 3x3 gate, a gate that is in between the size of the other two. It's the same size as the large cellar door, except now you can actually place it correctly and use it as an entrance for your creatures. This was created for a new feature that is coming in Extinction, but it is for all maps. This gateway can be built out of wood, stone, metal, and adobe. It will not, however, be available in tech. Now, when it comes to Extinction in the Bob's Tall Tales DLC, we will be getting some new headgear skins, which are inspired by other post-apocalyptic IPs. You'll have 4 different options in total. There are also 2 full sets of armor skins as well, and they are not locked to gender, so you can go through and swap out pieces as you wish. We will also be getting a new weapon that comes with the Bob's Tall Tales DLC, however there is not any art for it. The new weapon is an exploding spear. Power-wise, it's between the standard spear and the pike. However, when you throw it, it will explode like a sticky grenade. It will do a little bit more damage than a grenade would when it sticks to its target, and it can stick to players, creatures, and structures. This can be used while riding the creature, but it cannot be used when riding the vehicle. Yes, we will be getting some fun new rides, and it sounds like they will be available for all maps. We just have to wait for the release of Extinction. There is 3 basic foundations for the vehicles. Basically, it's just the tires that matter. Everything else is really customizable. The basic vehicle is the buggy, and it really just is the basic version and the first one that you will unlock. The second version is a monster truck, which was stated to be a tougher version of the vehicle, most likely having a higher base health before it breaks, or maybe some form of armor reduction. They really didn't specify. It is the slowest vehicle, however it has the tightest turning wheels. The third and the final version is the racer version, and it is the least turning tightest wheels, however it is easily the fastest vehicle. Now there are 3 other areas to the vehicle that can be modified. There is the engine compartment, which is basically just the front of the vehicle. There's the cab, which is where you will sit, and then there's the bed, which is the back of the vehicle. As you saw in all 3 of the different images, there's 3 different versions of these, and they can all be interchanged and mixed up. It's entirely cosmetic and has 0 effect on the actual gameplay, so you can go through and customize it as you want. Really, it's just the tires and the suspension that's going to remain idle, or stagnant and determine which type of vehicle you actually have. There are 7 different total ways to go through and customize the front engine compartment of your vehicle. You can leave it as is with no attachment, or there are 6 attachments that you can add on. You also have to learn the engrams for each different attachment. We currently only have art for 2 of them, but we do have detailed descriptions of all of them. The front end attachments are all passive and will just cause your vehicle to do new things. They require no interactions or input on your end. Attachment 1 is a basic armor attachment that heavily reduces melee damage that your vehicle would take. Attachment 2 is another armor attachment and reduces both range and explosive damage. Attachment 3 is the spike grill that you can see in the image on screen. You can use it to ram into things and it will heavily make you do more damage when ramming into them. Attachment 4 is the buzzsaw, and you will do less damage on impact with this. However, it's always running, so you could just walk into something and then it will constantly take damage over time. It has great damage when it comes to overtime. It can also be used to clear paths and destroy bushes and trees. Attachment number 5 is the spring bumper. It reduces all incoming damage from the front, and it reduces collision damage that you would typically receive when you ram into something. It also increases the total knockback when you actually ram into something. So you might be able to fling creatures across the map. Definitely excited to see what that looks like. Attachment number 6 is the cow catcher. If you hit a creature below a certain size or a player, the vehicle will essentially just knock them to the side of your vehicle and you will not take any damage, and they will take significantly reduced damage. Basically, it just allows you to keep driving without running into things, unless it's terrain, of course. Now, when it comes to rear end attachments, all of them are activatable. For rear end attachments, you have the same amount of options, 7 options in total. 1 being no option, and 6 other options are having an attachment. It's important to know that all these attachments have cooldowns since they can be activated. The cooldowns are shorter for ones that are simpler and bigger for ones that are more impactful. Rear attachment 1 is the hook. You can fire this behind you and you can target players, a carcass, or an unconscious creature. You can then drag it along with you, which means this provides a way to move unconscious creatures across the map. You do, however, deal damage to whatever you fire this hook at on the initial impact, as well as when you drag it. So if you are looking to tame a creature and want that perfect tame, you will need to drag it to a safe taming area, then let it wake up, then knock it back out. They did say, though, that if this is abused or used in a negative way in the PvE environment by dragging angry creatures into other players' bases, that they may make it so the hook can only hold a creature for a few seconds to go through and basically negate that, because they don't want to have a negative impact on the gameplay when they actually release this. So they will be heavily monitoring the use on how this hook is used. There is also a weight limit, so you cannot drag a Titanosaur to somebody's base. The second attachment is the Afterburner. It's basically just a NOS button or hit the boost button. The third attachment is a Jump Jet. It gives you an explosive boost and a small jump. This would be mostly just used for fun and to make traversal on certain maps significantly easier. The fourth attachment is the Smoke Screen. You can block the vision of others behind you, making it hard for them to see you or allow you to get away or simply to flank them. The fifth attachment is to drop mines. Similar to the Smoke Screen, you drop mines behind you so people or other creatures take explosive damage if they continue to pursue you. And the sixth and final attachment is the Sludge Dropper, which drops a trail of goop that slows down anything that moves over it. It does not deal damage, it only slows them down. It is important to know as well that you can have a passenger ride with you and they can use basically all range weapons while riding. However, they did mention that they may blacklist or ban a few different weapons like rocket launchers or a few others to prevent massive chaos on a server. They're going to go through and monitor this as well. Now, the last customizable spot is the bed of the vehicle. This area can either be left empty, or you can build on it, or you can place a variety of different turrets. If you choose not to place a turret at this building space, the building space is a 1x1 building foundation. You can place basically anything you could on a platform saddle. Things like beds, a smithy, a forge, benches to carry more players, a campfire, etc. You could also place walls to help protect whatever you're carrying or even to reduce damage you may take from behind. You cannot place automated turrets or cryo fridges at this location. Alright, now let's talk about the turrets. Turret number 1 is a minigun. It's the most basic and fires a lot of bullets very fast and has quite the range. Turret number 2 is a cannon. It's an anti-armor weapon. It ignores 40% of the armor of the target that it directly hits. It is a trace weapon, meaning there is no projectile that launches from it, so the moment you fire it, it will not have any travel time. It will immediately impact and hit the creature or the target you're firing at. It does have a slow rate of fire, though, so if you do miss, it does take quite a while to go through and load up the next shot. It has a decent range as well. It causes a small explosion on impact, but the armor deduction only applies to the direct hit, not to this explosion. Turret number 3 is the Seeker Missile Launcher. It fires small little rockets that don't do a whole lot of damage. If you hover your reticle over flyers, it will lock onto them and then you can fire the rockets and it will track them down and do increased damage. It cannot track creatures on the ground, however it can still attack them, it will just not do as much damage. Turret number 4 is the Shotgun. It is a very close range weapon with a narrow cone AoE attack. It does an insane amount of damage to anything up close that you can hit multiple times in a row. Typically, it would be used to quickly dispatch a very aggressive or highly dangerous predator up close. Turret number 5, however, is the Flamethrower. It has the lowest range of all of the turrets and does very little damage on impact. However, for these very high health targets like Gigas or even Stegos, or anything you just need to burn through quickly like a Titanosaur, it deals burn damage, and that is a percentage of max health damage over time. Now you may be wondering, how do you get all these different vehicles and attachments? Well, initially, there is a garage that you have to build. This garage has a 3x3 entrance and also 3 walls high. This 3x3 entrance for the vehicles is what actually inspired the new 3x3 gate that we're getting added to the base game. At this garage, you can both craft and repair your vehicles. In order to run your vehicles, you will need an upgraded form of gasoline that can only be crafted in a new structure being added into the game that comes with a Wasteland War part of Bob's Tallsdale DLC. We did not get to see this new structure, but when you are repairing the vehicle, you can actually see the vehicle inside the garage as it's currently getting worked on, which I think is pretty neat. Also, if you were to lose your vehicle when you're out adventuring, or you simply can't get back to it, or if you die and it's clear across the map, when you go into the garage, you can simply just respawn your vehicle at the garage. This honestly reminds me a lot of how vehicles were in the Borderlands series. And then the top of the garage is entirely flat and buildable. There is wall snap points all along it, and you can just build your house on top if you want, or simply just a small little extension of the garage for a workshop. Now, there are a few final notes for vehicles. If for some reason the vehicle is to flip over on you, which will happen very rarely, then you can just easily flip it around and get back in, also similar to the Borderlands series. Also, with 3 different cabs, 3 different beds, 3 different engine compartments, 3 different sets of wheels and suspensions, 6 potential front end attachments or no attachments, so 7 total possibilities, 6 potential rear end attachments or nothing, so 7 total attachments, and 5 different turn options or nothing, so 6 different total, means there are 23,814 possible different variations of this vehicle. Then you can also paint them with there being over 127 different color options, and then there will also be a cosmetic attachment system as well. So as long as you don't leave it as default, there is a very good chance you most likely will not run into another vehicle that is exactly the same as yours, which is absolutely insane. Now, speaking of cosmetic skins, we get to see some of the new structure skins that will be coming with the Wasteland War set. We get to see the Behemoth Gate, the pillar, the door, the standard wall, railings, and a really cool looking storage box and a table lamp. It was also confirmed that we can expect different lamps. We'll be getting the desk lamp, a standing lamp, a hanging lamp, and a wall lamp. There will also be a huge bonfire structure that we get. It will be the size of a full foundation. It won't add any new gameplay mechanics and will be purely cosmetic. There will also be certain structures that will have multiple variations. Alright, now the final bit of information that we got about Extinction is regarding a huge structure called the Tribe Tower. They said it is 8 walls high and the bottom is either 6x6 or 8x8. It is a massive structure. In order for this tower to work, it needs to have direct access to the sky, or what would be the sky in areas like Aberration. Basically, you just can't put a roof on it if you want to have the buffs. This realistically is just to encourage less cave building and more building out in the open. Also, the second requirement in order to make it work is that it needs to have an apex drop sacrificed to it every 12 real-life hours. Now, once you've met those requirements, then you will start getting buffs. For every real-life day, so 24 hours, that this tower is up, you will get a stacking 1% experience buff to all survivors, tames, chibis, etc. This goes up to 20 experience bonus total. Now, if you can keep this tower up for 30 days, you also get a 3% element drop from bosses, up to 15 total percent. Now, it is important to know that on servers, this tower will display in very large numbers a clock at the top indicating just how long it's currently been active. So all of their players on that server can see how long you have had it in place. Now, if they were to attack it, this structure cannot be repaired. But if you do manage to destroy this structure in PvP, you'll actually get a little placard next to your name that says you dominated this specific tribe. This structure, though, is not just for PvP. PvE could also easily take advantage of all the buffs and bonuses and have far less fear about having their structure destroyed. There will also be a new system in place that allows you to decorate both this structure and the vehicles we mentioned previously with different cosmetics. Now, there's one other final piece of information that we haven't covered, and that is the Armadago. This new creature coming to Extinction is absolutely insane. It has 30 different abilities between passives and activatable abilities. To find out all the details about the Armadago, I recommend you check out this video here.